and wildlife, the untapped potential of incredible India. Let me quickly introduce our distinguished moderator for the session and eminent panel speakers. Mr. Vinayak Kaul is the Honorary Secretary, Adventure Tour Operators Association of India. Mr. Kaul is one of the directors at Snowline Expeditions Private Limited, and his company, under his leadership, won the National Tourism Award for the Best Adventure Tour Operator Inbound a few years back. He is also a freelance empaneled expert with Bureau of Indian Standards for auditing adventure tourism safety management system. Mr. Vinayak Kaul is promoter of the ideology of responsible tourism and strongly believes that in the coming years, India will be one of the most sought after adventure tourism destination in the whole world. Mr. Kaul did his graduation from Symbiosis College, Pune in computer sciences and holds a master degree in business administration. He has also completed mountaineering courses from some of India's prestigious mountaineering institutes. The panelists are Captain Swadesh Kumar. Captain Swadesh Kumar is the founder president of the Adventure Tour Operators Association of India and is currently serving as the immediate past president of ATOAI. He is the founder of Shikhar Travels Private Limited, which is a full-fledged destination management company and has been in the business since 1979. Captain Kumar is a pilot, mountaineer, environmentalist, and explorer, and is closely associated with the travel and tourism industry for the last 45 years. Mr. Ajit Bajaj. Mr. Bajaj completed the polar trilogy by skiing to the North Pole, South Pole, and across Greenland. He has scaled Mount Everest and won a bronze medal in the national games, 1 silver and 2 bronze medals in international rafting competitions. Mr. Bajaj is the managing director of Snow Leopard Adventures, 3 times National Tourism Awardee. He was the chairperson, Camping and Caravan Tourism Policies for Government of India, member of Global Sustainable Tourism Council, and served 2 terms as president of ATOAI. Mr. Bajaj is a Padma Shri awardee and Hall of Fame by Indian Association of Tour Operators and Adventure Tour Operator Association of India. Ms. Akanksha Garg, a pioneer in sustainable and responsible tourism. Akanksha Garg is the director of Waxpole Hotels and Resort and the brains behind the Sundarban Tiger Camp and the Riverwood Forest Retreat in Dwars and Pench. She is well known as a prominent female hotelier in India and around the world. As a conservationist and advocate for sustainable tourism, Ms. Garg has been featured in a wide range of publications and media outlets. This woman's goal is to encourage, empower, and preserve the local people and wildlife habitats. May I now request Mr. Vinayak Kaul to take over the panel discussion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sonam. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you, Ministry of Tourism, for inviting me to moderate this very important session on adventure tourism in India at this very prestigious platform of Dubai Expo. Namaste, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends from all across the world. A very warm welcome to each and every one of you, the ones with us from there at the Expo. Hundreds of you, all who have joined us over Zoom, YouTube, and various social media channels. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for taking out time from your busy schedules. We are very passionate about this topic, and I believe so are you. That is why you are here. For the ones who have joined in just for the sake of curiosity, we promise you, you won't regret spending this time here. Let me, as always, begin with a little disclaimer that with the kind of size of our country and what all adventure products we have on offer, it's nearly impossible to talk and discuss adventure tourism in India within just 50 or 60 minutes. It needs a lot more than that. There are many possible adventure destinations in India, and each can take hours to talk about. And then if you pick up all 30 odd adventure verticals, it might take days. So we are going to try our best to do justice by touching upon some of the topics in the available time we have, along with speaking about a few other subjects related to adventure travel. Our aim is to leave you at least a little more enriched about adventure in India when you walk out of this session. In the current scenario, the COVID times, we all are aware how COVID has changed our lives for now and possibly for a very long time. How people plan their travel, on what they spend, with whom they travel, how long they would travel, etc., etc. In the middle of all this, adventure tourism gives a lot of hope. Terms like physical distancing, avoiding crowded places, respecting your body have been common in discussion in the last a year or so, about 2 years now. And it's no brainer to see how adventure tourism can give answers to many of such large issues to a certain extent. The current times have reinstated that adventure and activity holidays are the way forward. India's potential for adventure tourism is immense. You talk about a type of holiday, you have that in India, right from north to south, east to west. We have got destinations which have got fan following all across the world. My colleagues Vaibhav and Pradeep spoke at length and gave an overview with a lot of facts and figures about potential of our natural heritage, adventure products, our market size, various initiatives, etc. So I'm not going to repeat them. All I would like to say and emphasize is that India has got the potential to become the adventure tourism capital of the world. We have got it all what it takes in terms of products, expertise, global exposure, and whatnot. We just have to maintain the quality we provide and fuel our promotions to the next level at the world platform, which we have been trying to do with platform like today's. We will keep working towards it till we achieve it, and we all have that undying spirit of adventure within us to support it. With this, let me move to our panelists. Captain Kumar, if may start with you, sir.
Okay, good.
Can you hear me, sir? Yeah. So, with you at our panel, sir, as an industry veteran who has spent decades in the adventure tourism industry, we feel tempted to hear from you the story of adventure tourism in India. Along with that, the changes you have seen all these years in business and other aspects, how it was 40 years back, then 20 years back, and now.
Vinayak, thank you very much for inviting me, and you want me to share my 45-year experience in 45 seconds. Anyway, I'll try. You know, life is very interesting. Way back in 1974, I came to this business of tourism, but I never heard of adventure tourism. It was only adventure sports. And we always, when you climb a mountain, it was the preview of only the Army, Air Force, and the services sector. However, it started in 70s and civilians started joining in. Primarily, it was adventure sports. I was very fortunate to bring it to the adventure tourism. And the difference between sports and tourism is very thin line. And that is, if you go and climb a mountain or a track or go rafting, anything you do as a sportsman, whatever happens to you is your funeral, your desire. But however, if you go through a tour operator, tourism sector is involved, then safety is paramount, ensuring that everything is done properly and so on and so forth. So tourism has a very important role to play in this. Coming back to what I did in 75, it was very challenging for us. When I went to Japan for the first time, I must tell you, to talk about bringing Japanese mountaineers to India, I was talking Himalayas, they were talking of Nepal. It's very interesting. All the time they're talking about Nepal. I said, hold on. India has 73% of the Himalayas, and it was a very Herculean task. Then finally, and the tour operators are not listening. So I said, okay, what to do? I went to the Alpine Club, the source of business, and tried to convince them to come to Indian Himalayas, who have a huge, huge potential. And then give me a chance to promote Indian Himalayas across the world. And we had huge pressure. In 1975, the Indian Himalayas opened up. There's a key to the whole thing. And before that, it was all closed. Only open was Central Himalayas and Himachal Pradesh. That was all closed. In 1975, a new trend started, new wave started, and we had a huge number of expeditions, treks in the Himalayas and stuff. Just to correct you, in the 70s, mid-70s, the main thing was always walking, trekking, hiking, climbing, and not anything else at the time. However, in 80s, things changed. River rafting became more popular. In the 2019 and further, 2010, etc., the other activities came in. For example, you have a water sports, aero sports, so on and so forth, which have been already mentioned. What I want to tell you is very interesting. Is this question is very simple. When we started our work journey in climbing expeditions, that was in summer months, and our staff was free. What do we do? So we promoted camel safari, for example, bicycle tours, sailing in the Ganga, and so many other activities started. But one thing very interesting, In 80s and 90s and 2000, we had large number of days. Interestingly, it was expedition 40 days. Camel safari for 15 days, 11 days on camel bike. And Delhi to Kathmandu bicycle tour for 20 days. And the Bombay to Goa bicycle tour for 18 days and stuff like this. However, now in 2010, 2020, things have changed. People have no time. Now, I'm quickly come to the current scenario. People have no time. What they want now is shorter period. They want to climb Mount Everest in 20 days, for example. So they want to do everything in 15 days or 10 days, so on and so forth. It is only because people have no time. New kind of people have joined the business in terms of tourists. And so now new concept has come up, and that's called fully guided expedition. Maybe rafting, maybe climbing or trekking thing. Fully guided means everything is taken care of by the tour operator, which we are qualified to do so. However, the concept of adventure is kept in their hands. So that is the most important thing, which is so crucial and important. So I will say this way: the new trend has come up. There are huge aerosports. I mean, everything has been mentioned in the previous presenters. They have already told you all the things what are happening is. What I want to tell you and explain to you, my people who are listening to us, the current tour operators in this country are fully qualified, and with the best equipment they have, the best of trained staff they have, they can take care of your safety, guidance, ecology, and everything. And please, when you choose a tour operator, current scene itself, just use an adventure tour operator who is duly recognized by ATOAI member. We are the best. You are partners in this business. It was a different story 30, 40 years ago. There was hardly any movement. Now, we are fully, everything is developed to a level where you can use it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure to hear you. So enlightening. Ajit, if I may ask you, can you hear me, Ajit?
Yes, please go ahead.
Ajit, you having experienced adventure travel in all 7 continents, which most of us are jealous of you, and done the 3 poles, South Pole, North Pole, even the Mount Everest, which of course need a lot of hard work. What is your favorite destination, adventure destination in India?
Vinayak, you've asked me a very tough question. I mean, there is so much in India. We are a subcontinent. It is impossible to pick one favorite adventure destination. Like our Director General Tourism, Mr. Rao mentioned, and both Vaibhav and Pradeep, my colleagues, also mentioned, we have every conceivable geographical terrain in India. We are a global biodiversity hotspot. We have rich fauna, flora, avifauna. We are home to some of the world's highest mountains, with 73% of a culturally diverse Himalayan range in our country. But it's not just that. It's also a rich cultural heritage, the stunning landscapes, amazing cuisine. India, for instance, has 13,857 named mountains. The highest and most prominent of which is Kanchenjunga, which is 8,586 meters high. I do strongly feel that India is going to be the global adventure tourism hotspot in the next 5 years or so. We have large wilderness areas. Actually, being in India is like being in an Indiana Jones film. Imagine you are trekking in the Markha Valley, in the Hemis National Park in Ladakh, where you have the elusive snow leopard and the bharal, the Himalayan blue sheep. And you come across a scenic village with very friendly local people and a monastery, which is about 400 years old. So talking about my favorite adventure destinations for trekking, I would pick, I think, Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim, and also the Trans-Himalayan region of Ladakh. Ladakh is also called the last Shangri-La, and also the Buddhist culture there. It's fascinating experience. For river rafting, in 1977, Sir Edmund Hillary led the Ocean to Sky expedition from Ganga Sagar in the Arabian Sea to Karan Prayag, high up in the Himalayas. And I would say the Ganga River and its tributary, these are our main rafting rivers in the country. But with such a large expanse of the Himalayas, India could very easily, in years to come, become the whitewater rafting and kayaking capital of the world. We have rivers like the Zanskar, and having rafted down the Colorado River, which is one of the natural wonders of the world, and having rafted down the Zanskar River with its gorge, with its gorgeous gorge, I would say that perhaps the Zanskar gorge is one of the most stunning rivers anywhere on the planet. We also have rivers like the Kali Sarda with an amazing amount of wildlife and waterfalls. We have the Siang, the Brahmaputra, as it's called, which is perhaps in one of the remotest parts of the planet. And what makes it very special is the local tribes and the ancient culture we have there. For mountaineering, gosh, again, this is a tough one. And I know there are many friends from different parts of the country who are going to give me a hard time for picking some of my favorite destinations here. But I would say Uttarakhand, with mountains like Shivling, Thale Sagar, and Nanda Devi, definitely has to be one of the prime mountaineering destinations in the world. There are over 7,000 meter mountains in Uttarakhand, but also you have states like Himachal Pradesh with easy access and many unclimbed mountains there. The Eastern Himalaya and Sikkim, Kashmir, Himalaya, Ladakh. There are still so many new routes and virgin mountains still to be attempted there. For sea kayaking, I would say definitely the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, but also one of the best destinations for sea kayaking is the backwaters of Kerala. And I know Pradeep from Kerala is going to be very happy to hear this. And for scuba diving, we have, of course, the two islands, Lakshadweep and Andamans, with a great amount of coral. But now there is scuba diving in Sindhudurg in Maharashtra and in Goa as well. For skiing, I would pick two destinations. One is Gulmarg in the Kashmir Himalaya, and the local hospitality in Kashmir and the après ski. So after you ski, the food and hospitality all add up, other than the slopes in Gulmarg, to make a fantastic skiing experience. And of course, skiing in Oli with a backdrop of the Himalayan range and Nanda Devi, Hathi Parvat, that makes it a fascinating experience. Aerosports like paragliding, I would say the entire country, from the Sahyadris, places like Kamchet, to Bir and Billing in Himachal Pradesh, which is a global hotspot. And also the World Paragliding Championship was held there. I still have so much that I personally would love to explore in my country, in India, from caving in Meghalaya to still climbing and sea kayaking and going on a whole lot of treks, especially a lot of treks in places like Arunachal to go look for the clouded leopard. These are all, I think, once in a lifetime experiences that we have in India. Thanks, Vinayak.
Thank you, Ajit. I felt it, and I guess the viewers also must have been feeling that you should go on and on and on and keep telling us different parts of the country. And I liked it when you said you put me in a spot, because it's very difficult to put you in a spot on a regular day. Thank you, Ajit. It was lovely. So, Akanksha, I'm sure you're with us. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Vinayak. Can hear you loud and clear.
From one star, what do I say, star to another. So, Akanksha, you run quite a few wildlife lodges in India. and good ones, I must say. I've had the pleasure of staying at them. And at the same time, you have traveled across to various national parks and reserves around the world. How would you compare product India in terms of our potential and our edge over what the rest of the world offers?
So, Vinayak, that's a very interesting question because, India is a very unique product as a whole. We are very diverse in culture, seasons, and terrain, like from the Himalayan mountains to the Kanyakumari sea coast, from the Thar desert of Rajasthan to the humid forests of the Northeast. India is one of the world's 12 mega biodiverse countries. And we have a lot of rich natural as well as cultural heritage. So when you talk about planning a holiday to India, you can actually experience a safari, a jeep safari in a landlocked region such as central India, as in Madhya Pradesh, where you can see the big cats. So a lot of travelers who come to India actually come to see the big cats because this is the only place in the world where you can see 5 of them. One, of course, is the tiger, which you can see in central, northern, and eastern India. You can see the snow leopard, like Ajit just mentioned, in the Hemis National Park. And actually, you can do trekking while you want to go for this wildlife experience. So there's a twist, You can do your trekking as well as wildlife sighting. Then you can see the leopard, which is spread throughout the country from north of India to south of India. And something which is very interesting, Vinayak, wherever the tiger population is less, the leopard population is more. So we have a lot of places, a lot of rural villages, a lot of small national parks and tiger reserves, even like bird sanctuaries, which have leopard presence. Something again very unique to India compared to the rest of the world. Of course, you do have lions in Africa, but we have the Asiatic lions, and they're only found in Gir, which is in Gujarat. So coming to India, when I'm talking about these wildlife, talking about the big cats here, what is interesting is you come to one country, you make an itinerary to travel for say 10 days, 15 days, as much time as you have. You come with your family, you come with your friends, right? You can go to any park. There is no age bar. Like when I was traveling to Africa, what I noticed, Vinayak, was that my son, who's 7 years old, he couldn't travel when he was 5. So I had to postpone my travel by 2 years so I could take him to Africa. And now because of COVID, of course, we can't travel. But in India, this bar is not there. Even if you're 75, you're 90 years old, you can still go for a cruise safari. You can still go for a jeep safari. If you're fit enough, you can also do a walking and a bicycling safari. India is diverse, yes. Also, something which is very interesting is that when you come to India, we also have a mix of temperate and alpine forests in the central and western Himalayas and the desert forests in dry and semi-arid areas, right? Like Ajit was just mentioning. So when you come to, say, the little Ran of Kutch, over there you can see the Indian wild ass. You can see the blue bull, which is the largest antelope, India's largest antelope. You go to Viladra, you can see the black buck, and the predator is a wolf. So you can actually go for wolf sighting. And these wolves are not like the ones you see in Greenland, hefty, very strong. They're lean, they're longer from nose to tail. It's very exciting when you see them. You're like, oh, that's a wolf. Wow. You're actually seeing a wolf. It's gray in color. It's tall. It's very active, very smart. So I'll just share one quick experience with you, Vinayak. When I was traveling from Pench to Kanam, there was a herd of sheep which a local man was taking, okay, in the evening time. Something very surprising. There was a pack of wolf which was with the sheep inside, right? And they were waiting for this man to move away so they could kill one sheep and take it back. So, this is a kind of experience when you come to India, you can get. And it's completely safe because you're inside your vehicle. There's something which you can, and every day, every experience, every travel to every location is different. You travel to the northeast, you can see the one-horned rhinoceros. You can find them in Uttarakhand, you can find them in North Bengal in the Duas region, you can find them in the Kaziranga National Park. You go for a holiday to Calcutta, you can take a 2.5, 3 hours drive and go to Sundarbans. And you can do a cruise safari into the Sundarbans National Park, which is a World Heritage Site and a biosphere reserve. And what do you get to see there? You get to see the saltwater crocodiles, which are the biggest crocodiles in the world. You can only see them in Australia and in India. So if you compare around the world, the Nile crocodile and the saltwater crocodile are approximately the same size. And that's something which you can see in India again. The swamp tiger, which is the only one of its kind. It's a Royal Bengal tiger, who has adapted to living in the mangroves and be only seen in the Sundarbans. If you go to the northeast, to the Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary, you can see the Western Hullock gibbon. You go to the Desert National Park, you can see the preserved, it's actually a protected area. You have the Great Indian Bustard there. So if you want to do mix a cultural itinerary where you have your family, you have your grandparents, you have the parents, India is a destination for all generations to travel together. You come to Delhi, you can take a car journey or a flight to Jaipur, do a little bit of cultural experience, take a 3-hour drive, go to Ranthambore. Great itinerary, right? If you go to the Western Ghats, which is in the southern part of India, it's again very exciting because it has the black leopard. So in India, okay, you have the normal spotted leopard, but here you have the leopard, which is completely black because of the melanin content in its body. You can see it in Kabini, you can see them in Tadoba, you can see them in Pench. So suppose you're traveling to Bombay, just take a quick flight, 2 hours drive, and you're in Pench. And while you're going to Pench, you can actually do a complete circuit to go to Thana and Bandhavgarh and come and have a chance to see the swarm deer or see the sambar deer, which is one of the biggest deer which we have in India. Or if you go to, say, I mentioned Kaziranga. So India is a destination for everybody. You can also do butterflies sighting in the northeastern region of India. You can do great birding. So even if you talk about birding, Vinayak, it's interesting because each part of India is very unique. You can see the migratory birds and the endemic birds in the Himalayas. You can see the migratory ones who come down to Bharatpur or who also come down to Satal in Uttarakhand. So every destination which is religious or which is a metro city does have wildlife around it. And I encourage all travelers who are there today at the pavilion to visit India. India is safe. We have fantastic protocols in place like Ajit and Captain Kumar just mentioned. So do plan a trip with your family to India soon. Thanks, Vinay.
Thank you, Akanksha. It was lovely getting to know from you, and I just feel like packing my bags and moving into some wildlife destination. The tiger in your backdrop is looking at you and hearing patiently, and we all are looking forward to our next outdoor activity. Moving back to panel, Captain Kumar, if I may ask you, and you're smiling, I don't know what is. but let me first ask you what I have planned, and then you can come back with whatever you want to post back. So I would say, sir, what comes to my mind is most people in the world have this impression, if not all, that adventure in India is possible only in the summertime. But I'm aware you have always been saying that India is a 12-month adventure destination. Please guide us on the winter adventure possibilities and the destinations.
Vinayak, India is not only 12 months destination, 365 days destination. And I don't have to guide you, you know yourself very well. That what's happening is, let's put in any activity, let's go for trekking. 60% of our business for adventure in the Himalayas is trekking. You can trek in January, February, March, April, May, June till December, depending on which way you want to go. You can trek in post-monsoon in Darjeeling and Sikkim area. You can do a pre-monsoon, and of course, you can also do in other areas also. What I'm trying to say is, the trekking and climbing expedition now, you can do climbing Himalayas peak. You can ski down the Kedarnath Dome, for example. Kedar Dome peak, and things like this. Apart from this, what's happening is the last decade or so, many state governments have come up forward. Almost all the states, there are 28 states, 8 union territories. Everybody's talking of trekking. So everybody's talking of adventure tourism. And very interesting thing is happening is there are many possibilities. For example, let's go to Rajasthan. They have a jeep safaris, they have camel safaris, they have wildlife parks. They also have very interesting things. You go to Gujarat, same thing is happening. None of Kutch is another one. You go to Kerala, you can go to Goa. Everywhere there's activity in winter months. Similarly, do a bicycling tour anywhere out in India. In fact, you can do bicycling. And you think of a month, you bring it, and I'll give you a place to go. Where you can go to Ladakh, you can go to Rajasthan, you can go wherever you like it. So what's happening is, today with the change of time, change of thinking, India has become 12 months destination for all the adventure activities. I also want to tell you, I should have told you before, that definition of adventure tourism has changed. Earlier definition was climbing mountain, so on and so forth, and was it tough, you had to climb all this. No, not anymore. Three things are important. There should be there should be a activity, there should be nature, or meeting the local communities. Any two of them becomes adventure tourism. It's a new definition which came up in 2000 plus, in the current 20 years itself. So that means to say, all the activities in the country where there's activity involved comes under the adventure tourism bandit. So I will only say this to you very clearly, that we have adventure activities throughout the year. You name an activity, but they're rafting, for example. You can do you can do rafting in all the time. Depends. The question is which area you want to go. You can climb a mountain, trek mountains. You can do water sports, aero sports, and all the stuff like this. So, and also please understand, we are now more experienced, more trained in terms of equipment, in terms of safety guidelines, in terms of fully prepare ourselves. So I suggest all my tour operators, travel agents, my consumers who are sitting here listening to us, please come to India. You dream a destination, dream which month you want to come, and we, the tour operators in this country, will give you a lovely holiday, fulfill your dream. Thank you, Vinayak.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Adita, I see you on my screen, and I feel like tempted to ask you this question, which I feel when you will answer would give confidence to world adventure travelers when they plan to travel to India. What are the risk mitigation steps taken by the industry for adventure tourism in India?
That's a very important question, Vinayak. But as far as risk management is concerned, we have our act together in India. There are 3 Gs for risk management in adventure tourism. These are guidelines, guides, and gear. The Indian Adventure Tourism Guidelines of the Adventure Tour Operators Association of India have been adopted by our Ministry of Tourism in 2018, and these are being implemented across the country. We have 31 different adventure sports covered under the guidelines. And as far as guides is concerned, there has been a focus on not just technical skill development, but also related skills such as first aid and CPR, communication skills, F&B, guest handling, soft skills, and also, most importantly, search and rescue. As far as gear is concerned, we are using gear at par with international standards in India. I think we have also world-class adventure outfitters ready to give you an adventure experience of a lifetime in the incredible Indian outdoors. Thank you.
Thanks, Ajit. Thanks. Akanksha, if I may ask you, what would you recommend to someone who is coming to India for the first time? I mean, where to start from? And my question here is twofold. Someone who is a wildlife buff and someone who is not that much into wildlife, but just wants to come to experience it.
So thank you for the question, Vinayak. I think it's very important to plan a holiday. And I think the interaction with the team you're booking with, who's your friend, who's your resource, would be the step one to find out what are their interests. Are they interested in birding or are they interested in wildlife? If they're coming to India for the first time and they don't have any idea at all, my first recommendation would be that they fly into Delhi, because it is the capital of India. You have these amazing heritage buildings, gives you great exposure. You do a drive to Jaipur, or you fly to Jaipur. You see the palaces, because India is known for exotic destination. And then you take a short drive to Ranthambore. And Ranthambore is basically just for tiger sightings. But if you want to see a bit more and you're with a family and you want to experience real wide India, which is not very commercial, I would recommend that either you fly down all the way south, explore Kabini, Nagarhole, Bandipur National Park, which is very green. Go to the Periyar Reserve. So you can do a little bit of God's own country along with wildlife. That could be one itinerary. Another itinerary could be, of course, the one I mentioned, Delhi and North India, like the Golden Triangle, which is very popular. The third, and which actually I would advocate a lot, is for a wildlife enthusiast, is that they should fly either into Bombay, Delhi, or Calcutta. All our airports are very well connected to most of the national parks or the cities next to the national parks. And they can come to, say, Nagpur and do an itinerary of Tadoba, Pench, Kana, or combine Pench, Kana, and Bandhavgarh and fly out from Jabalpur or Raipur, again, which is a very well connected airport. Something which is unique, again, when people are coming to India, Vinayak, is, we luckily offer accommodation of all types. You can get a 5-star hotel, you can get a bed and breakfast, because we are really encouraging homestays to come up in the wildlife sanctuaries, so you can explore how the local people live. But at the same time, you can actually choose a wildlife lodge or a wildlife retreat as well. Something with comfortable rooms, big space, where you can actually be with small number of rooms in the wilderness. So, and all these resorts which are there in the national parks, what's really unique about them is that they employ the local populace. So today, when we see that the local community is benefiting from tourism, they're becoming conservationists and protectors of the forest. And they're actually letting the wildlife population thrive. So today, when you go, for example, when a traveler is coming from abroad, they will say, okay, what do we see in India? What's different? What's different is the experience that you have being with a native in their land, understanding how they live off it, how they learn from it, how they survive in that terrain throughout the year. At the same time, for a tourist, this becomes a new experience, because when you're going to, say, we are generally compared a lot with Africa. So I would say if you're going to Africa, you're taken to a Maasai village. But we all know the Maasai villages now are just like an entertainment center. They're not really authentic. They've all been standardized. In India, you still get that raw, authentic experience when you are in the villages. When you're going to the Himalayas, you actually get to interact with the locals. You go to the Duars, you get to meet the Bhutias, you get to meet the Nepalese, you get to meet the local cultures, the people who make the place and who know the forest in the best way possible. And that experience, I feel, you don't get anywhere else. And I think it's also very important that when an itinerary is being made, we should definitely understand the kind of interest the person has, so that we can direct them to the right space. I was just talking to a friend today, and we were discussing, what kind of itineraries can you do in India to cover all the wildlife, literally just to see all the main, what I mean to say, the hyenas, the black buck, be it the sloth bear, wild dogs, gore, sambar deer, wolves, spotted deers, and the big five. You actually need 45 to 50 days to go to all the parks. But if you want to just keep a gist about the top big five, you can do it within a week as well. So depending on the kind of time you have in hand, India is a destination for everybody, and we can customize itineraries for you. And I think the biggest advantage we have today is that we have uh, uh, association of accredited, wildlife experts, or people who are experts in soft adventure as well as in rough terrain. So we are a destination for everyone, Vinayak. And recommendation, I would say, get in touch with a ATOAI certified agent. We have a website, and you can get in touch with any of us, and we can chalk it out as per your customization, for what your family would like to do. Would you like to do cycling? Would you like to do a motorcycle drive? Would you like to take a 4-wheel drive and go to the national park? Would you like to go in a gypsy? Maybe rent a caravan and go completely offbeat. All these kind of experiences are available. Even you can do a hide experience, go and live in a small cottage in the middle of the wilderness, like we have in Madhya Pradesh. You have this small, beautiful 4-bedroom place in the middle of nowhere, and you actually have wildlife coming right outside your room. And you have these local people who can cook you a nice, sumptuous, organic meal, which is directly sourced from the village. So, you're getting the best, freshest produce, you're getting fresh water, clean air, naturally distanced cottages. So, and India, okay, we understand that the population is big, but India is a big country. So the population is, of course, concentrated to the main cities. When you go to the rural areas, it's quite decentralized, it's quite open, it's an open expanse. And you can actually imagine, like Ajit was mentioning before, if you're going to the Hemis National Park or if you go to Nubra Valley, you can actually just go outside in the open and lie down and see shooting stars. You can see the clear Milky Way galaxy. That experience you cannot get in any other place in the world. It's India. It's incredible as it is. So that's all I would like to say. Thanks, Vinay.
Thank you, Akanksha.
Yeah.
My last one, I would like to ask you, Ajit, before I move on to the questions which we have from the from audience and from various channels. We've got some overwhelming response for the question. Let me tell you, and I'll try and pick up some. But my last one to you, Ajit. The world wants to hear, and we keep on talking about leave no trace ethos in India by the adventure industry. Would you like to speak about it?
Sure, Vinayak. As adventure tour operators, we are conscious of our responsibility to our wilderness areas. We are strictly following the age-old rule of the great outdoors. Take only photos, leave only footprints in letter and spirit. The United Nations World Tourism Organization Global Sustainable Tourism Criteria was adopted by our Ministry of Tourism. We've tweaked it, and we now have the Sustainable Tourism Criteria of India. And the National Strategy for Sustainable and Adventure Tourism, the draft is out, was out in 2021. This is work in progress. But I think as an industry, the Adventure Tour Operators Association of India, we are passionate about the great outdoors. And whenever we are out to our wild areas, to our wilderness areas, we like to serve as honorary wardens. Thanks, Vinay.
Thank you, Ajit. Captain Kumar, I have a question for you from the audience. Question is quite short, but probably answer would be a little longer. They are asking, what is the best time for trekking in South India?
Winter months. You come in winter months, starting from October to March, April.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And there's so many short treks, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. And in fact, very interestingly, I have a list of all the 28 states in the country have highest mountains, starting from 1,000 meters to 8,000 meters. So the question is, you can climb mountains in winter months in South India without any problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Akanksha, the next one looks like for you, because I see tiger everywhere. The question says, apart from the tiger, which is the star of Indian wildlife scene, what else would you suggest people to come to India for?
Is tiger a tiger?
Sir, that Akanksha would be able to explain.
So India is generally known for its tiger because that's what people generally talk about. But I would request that you come to India for the elephants. You can come for the Indian one-horned rhinoceros, which is only found here. You can come for the Asiatic lion, which is only found here. You can come for the wolf. You can come for the Bengal fox. There's so much you can see. The Indian bustard, depending on what you would like to see. Are you more into mammals? Are you more into predators? Are you more into raptors? Are you more into insects? Let me know and I can advise accordingly. India is a diverse country. I would tell you to come for everything.
Thank you.
Come here, spend your time, see the place.
Thank you. Ajit, someone wants to ask that yes, the Everest is the epitome of climbing in the world, but if I don't want to travel to Nepal or don't want to spend so much, what would you recommend in India?
Again, Vinay, that's a tough one. We have so much in India. We have the largest concentration of 7,000-meter mountains on the planet in India. And, whether you're looking, if it's relatively easier mountaineering experience and you're looking at climbing a trekking peak, we have options in Ladakh, in Himachal, all over the country, to some of the highest mountains, Kanchenjunga, which is the third highest mountain on the planet, in Sikkim. But there's a whole lot of other exciting mountains like Nun and Kun. You can see that behind Captain Swadesh Kumar on his, and so there are, I would say, India has all the options possible for mountaineering, from easy trek peaks where you can gain your mountaineering skills. I also want to mention that we do have some world-class mountaineering institutes in India: the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering at Uttarkashi, the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute in Darjeeling. We have institutes in Gangtok, in Manali, in Gulmarg, and so on. These are all world-class institutions. So if you're looking at mountaineering or mountain adventures, trekking, just come to India, look no further.
Thanks, Ajit. And adding to that, if I may say so, that what I know, there are a lot of people who come to India to train for their adventure, for their Everest summit. I mean, there are huge possibilities to come to India and do their training for long times and experience India at the same time. So immense potential.
Absolutely. So before Everest, what you do want to do is get onto a mountain which is about maybe 6,000 to 7,000 meters high. So there are many options in Ladakh, from Kangyatse to, of course, Nun and Kun that I mentioned. These are relatively easily accessible, and in about 2 to 3 weeks, you can do a solid training expedition for an 8,000 meter mountain.
Thanks, Ajit. Sonam, that was all the questions from my side. Do you have anything at your end or from the tech team which I can ask? That we still have got a couple of minutes to ask.
I just want to tell something, if you permit me.
Yes,
is this that the controlling authority in India for climbing expedition is Indian Mountaineering Foundation, which is a central body, which is a body duly approved by the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Sports, Government of India. And if you want to climb a mountain, you do visit their website, apart from our association website, and they have a huge number of peaks available. Who are the restricted areas and open areas. They can have a look and see that they can make an attempt on this. As I just mentioned to you, for climbing Mount Everest, they can do it slowly, they can do 6,000, 6,500, 7,000, and then Mount Everest. So I think they must visit Indian Mountaineering Foundation, IMF website, to get a huge list of all the information they have on climbing expeditions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sonam, do we have anything from your side?
No, sir, there aren't any questions.
Okay. So friends, I mean, watching us from all across the world, I hope you found value in the time you spent over here. The adventure session continues. The panel discussion ends over here. I hope you had a good time. And we have some lovely presentations from our colleagues from different states lined up and taking you to different parts of the country in a different manner. So we hope you enjoyed this session. We tried our best, and thank you so much for watching. Over to you, Sonam.
Thank you, sir, for the panel discussion. May I now invite